Havana started in the 30s, the Havana race, St. Pete Havana race. And it really was a publicity stunt that started out in St. Petersburg at the yacht club when a group of the sailors decided they wanted to sail to Havana and have a great time and then party and then come on back. So when it started out as a publicity stunt to draw attention to St. Petersburg for the tourists, and then we'll sail to Havana and then we'll party. And they went and they partied and they were down, had a grand old time. I can tell you that the race had history of antics that only sailors would do, from throwing pianos off the roofs of the hotel to doing whatever they were doing and having fun. But that being said, the race progressed over the years. It stopped during the war, and then it's always had a history of starting and stopping. And it stopped during the war, and then it started up again. And in the 50s, it came back and started running again. And then they were on one of the regattas left here, and they had gunfire break out, and a coup was trying to be in effect down in Cuba and Havana at the time. And I think there has been said, I have no proof, but there's been said that there was bullets fired in the sails and things like that. After that, the race continued, and then about 58, Castro came along and tried to take over the country. And at that point, Batista had left, and Castro had seized control of Havana. And in that year, which was 58, I believe, when the race regatta started here, they left the starting line and immediately were signaled by radio to turn left at Boca Grande Shoals and head to Fort Lauderdale. And that's when the Havana-St. Pete Havana race became the St. Pete Fort Lauderdale race, which was really the forerunner of the Sorcy races, and that's where things really started to move out. In 59, my father did hold the last final race of Havana after Castro took over, and the sailors went down, and a lot of the sailors, at least some of them that I know, were carrying the jewelry out for Batista's wife out of the country. They wore it coming out of the country to get it here back to the States for Batista. Now, how much jewelry went on, but I do remember one of the members and sailors in that race telling me he wore a bunch of it around his neck, and the guards were standing around with their guns, and he's just trying to hide it from being worn out, that nobody knew they had it. That being said, and after 59, it just went kaput, and we had an opportunity come up in 2014, 15, that we could run the race again. And I was Commodore in 2015, and I said, let's do it, because I always wanted to bring that race back. I think it's a great race. It's a nice shot. It's 247 miles. This is not a booze cruise, a picnic race. This is a race. And so we've had some that have broken a record between here and there in sailing. It's a beautiful run. We now go, instead of going into the Havana Yacht Club, which no longer exists, we now go to the Hemingway International Marina and Yacht Club. And they've welcomed us with open arms. We worked tirelessly, George Pennington, myself, worked tirelessly with some liaisons from here and Cuba to where we developed a rapport that still stands really good to this day with them. And they use us as now, the St. Petersburg Yacht Club is the model for the rest of the race. If a race wants to go to Havana, and the Havana government has said, well, you have to do it St. Petersburg Yacht Club's way or you're not coming at all. And that's been a real good testament to how we do things and working internationally. Hence, we've done well. We've had some tremendous competition. We'd like to see it grow and get better competition, and we've moved to an every other year format, because we were also running a race of the Isla Mujeres, the Regatta del Sol, which has been running for over 60 years, which took the place of the Havana race, basically. But we're trying to reestablish the Havana race, and now a pandemic comes along, and the history of the race shuts down again. The former President Trump came along, and the history of of any changes to U.S.-Cuba relations has been pushed down again. And now presently the new president, Biden, hasn't made much difference from Trump. So we don't know where that's going to go. And so this race will probably always have a history of starting and stopping and starting and stopping, as it has for since its get-go in the beginning.